Or you could just listen to it tomorrow as well.
Yeah, that's the other way.
Right. All right. Have a good meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Paula. Have
Yeah,
a good
thanks,
night.
Paula.
Hi, everybody. Let's get started. It's 7:31. Sorry, I'm a minute late there.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, let's begin with, oh, do I have my, let me see if I can find my flag.
Where's your
I was more
flag?
organized last time. Hold on.
Yardley Borough ordinance.
Okay. Anybody see it?
Yeah.
It's on.
All right, let's begin. Let's begin our monthly meeting tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
of the
of the
United
United States of America,
and to the republic for which it
for which
stands,
it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
with
justice.
liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
We could see plenty of delays there, but that's okay.
That's all right. That's the worst thing in our day.
Yeah, really,
We
exactly.
still say we had a good day.
Exactly. Okay, I sent out the agenda. I guess technically we should do roll call, but we're all here, so.
With that being said, if you don't mind, does that mean that Stephanie is now decided to step away?
That's a good question. I have not confirmed that, but I noticed on the borough website, it lists 2 openings and her name is no longer on the planning commission list.
I just put the question to Paula, and she confirmed what you just said, that Stephanie's decided not to continue her participation in the planning commission.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So we're 5. Yeah.
How many meetings did she even come to? Not very many, right?
One, I think.
Yeah, I can remember.
I only remember her in one, but I know that I missed a few.
Yeah, it was just a couple. And it's been a long time, since maybe January or February.
Yeah. So, okay.
And it's,
Okay, so officially our roll call is acting chairman, Don Carlson, Matt Simberg, Rich, and me. Bob, are you on? I can't see everybody.
I'm sorry.
at the
Yes,
same
Bob.
time.
Bob is here
I'm
too.
on.
Okay, Bob is not here?
Yeah, I'm here.
no, Bob is here.
Oh, okay, excellent.
And our liaison, Matt Ross, is not here. At least I don't see him. Okay. In the community announcements, as most of you probably know, because of COVID, the borough office aren't officially open, although Paul is there. You just have to contact her via email and then figure out how to move documents in and out. And I want to remind everybody that, we're encouraged to do a Zoom video recording, as are most of the other council meetings. And if you go to Yardley Borough YouTube channel, you just type in Yardley Borough YouTube, they have a whole channel and you'll see all the council meetings in there, our last meeting, most of the other boards, sewer board, not everyone, but most of them are on there. So if you're interested, and they leave them up there for a while. So,
Yep, there they are.
so it's handy for the council meetings, because I used to always go to the council meetings, but now I can fast forward through all the stuff that is,
All the fluff.
yeah, or the arguments with certain members of, so anyhow, okay. So that's all I had in community announcements. In public comment, I don't think we have anyone from the public. Is there anyone I'll open it up though officially. Is there anyone from the public who is not identified who would like to bring up anything? Going once, going twice? Nope. Okay. And we have no applicants, obviously. So we're a little slow there now. So let's move on to the minutes and take care of that. Thanks, Chuck. Chuck gave me the details of the minutes. I put them in the standard format that I guess Pete had created or somebody before him had created and sent that out. Couple of comments I'll just make. In the minutes we talked about, remember last time when we went through chapter 5, we decided we wanted like West Volker to look at some stuff, Paul to look at some stuff, and the zoning board to go look at some stuff. I made separate documents of all those and sent them out to all those people to review. Hopefully they'll have inputs back to us next month. And then once we get inputs from them, then I would say we go actually make the changes to the document, Chuck, that we identified in the minutes. So, anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I apologize. I didn't have a chance to see it. The only thing I saw that relative to my notes that I did last time was that I did for the December draft, I had actually left the November date. So I would guess, Don, that you caught that, but that was the only big thing that I saw.
Yeah, I fixed that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I just added the normal header thing that we have about when the meeting was, when the next meeting is, stuff like that. I cleaned it up just a little.
Thank you.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Okay, motion
I-
by Bob.
I will
motion
second.
Second by Chuck. All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're done. All right, thank you.
That was tough.
Okay, items for review this month. We didn't have any correspondence, at least Paul didn't send me anything. So the next thing we got to deal with is reorganization for 2021. I think it's just chairperson, vice chair, and secretary. I think those are only 3 positions that we need, that theoretically, officially we need people in, as far as I know anyway. So any self-nominations out there for chairperson for starters? Oh, come on.
Been there, done that.
You've gotten off to a really great start, Don. I'm going to nominate Don Carlson for chair for the coming year.
I would second that nomination.
Oh, but here's my problem. I don't know these ordinances like all you guys do. When we have an applicant in here, you're coming up with stuff that I have no clue where to even go find. So the disadvantage of me being chair is I'm not like Pete, who was into the minutia as well as the broader things. And he knew where to find it, and he knew where all that stuff was. So that's my handicap going into this.
The one thing that we could do, though, is get these things reviewed by the engineer, and then the ordinances and things will be on there.
I see what you mean, yeah.
Now sketch plans, we don't have to, it's not that critical that we get all that. And I know a lot of it, and we can figure out a lot of it. And I just can't depend on the zoning officer. That's the problem. It's the engineer that is better at it. And Bob knows the ordinances very well too.
The tough thing that I have, that I still don't fully understand, is how at the inception of a project that somebody wants to do, does it come our way versus just going zoning board first, or what things are really coming our way? Like, I happen to have a neighbor of mine talk about hey, my son-in-law is buying a building on Main Street and he wants to put this kind of business in it, and but he needs to take away a couple parking spaces. Is that something that goes to the planning board? I said, oh, yes, if it affects that, yes, it would. but now I haven't heard anything else from it. You know, like how is it decided what comes our way? Do we rely on Paula to direct things here?
Well, I think it's the zoning officer. I think it's what's been happening, and he just up and does what he wants.
Yeah. I guess that's where, you know, I may want to, I don't know if Matt as our liaison to council can shed some light on it, but we just got to, things you'd be nice if there was an easy decision chart of here's the kind of project coming in front of the zoning board. Here's the ones that go to planning committee. Here's the ones that don't. And just have some.
Basically, I think almost all should, because that's what planning is, you know, even if, you know, because we can make suggestions. It's not like we have to approve it necessarily, but
Right.
we, you know, supposedly the planning commission knows the borough, the history, the other surrounding properties and the traffic patterns and whatever. And so we can help an applicant sometimes with things, you know, so they, you know, it can just be informational.
Yeah. But if I'm an applicant and I go through that step with us, and then you got to end up at zoning, you know.
Well,
Um,
maybe, you know, usually it's a preliminary phase, come in with a preliminary plan. That can be, you know, doesn't have to be engineered. It doesn't need an engineer's review. It's just an informal review. Then they come back with revisions or a final plan. And that is thoroughly reviewed at that stage and
Right.
by the engineer, hopefully.
Don, I think we talked about this a little bit at the beginning of last year. I remember also being a little bit confounded by not knowing what the, you know, processes are and not knowing where to turn in order to find out what that process is. And I guess if the first place I would stop would be with Paula. Paula, a lot of people walk in off the street or give her a call, and she takes a call, and she must be directing people to people according to criteria and according to her understanding of the sequence. And maybe we ask her to join us for the first 15 minutes of a meeting next month to explain to us what her processes are or what she's been directed to do, how she's managing it.
That's a good idea. I think she sends them to the zoning officer, and then the zoning officer should send them to us, but he doesn't.
And if that's what she tells us, that won't take 15 minutes. She can just tell us that. But I think because she is the traffic cop, you know, I think initially probably be good to hear from her what her sequence is or what her protocol is.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Okay, before we get too far off topic, let's.
Yeah, just getting back.
Support, with
getting
your
back
guys,
to
with your guys' support, and as long as you set me on the straight and narrow, and when we have applicants in here, and I'm floundering, as long as you guys prop me up.
Yeah, we
to
we got your back.
We will.
Don't worry, Moses. We'll hold up your arms.
Don, the guy did it for 20 years, and I'm still on the board, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, no, I have to pull out the ordinance every time we have an applicant. I got to go into the books and read it. I don't know the stuff cold, so, but we'll certainly try to keep you prepared.
Okay. How about nominations for vice chair? Who would like to fill in that role?
Nominate Rich.
I second it.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'll take vice chair, and that'll serve the purpose of my going into the ordinance and learning more
Yes.
about this stuff and keeping you on the straight and narrow. So I'll take that on.
Okay. And how about secretary? Are you ready for another year, Chuck? I nominate
Yeah,
you.
as long as y'all can read my chicken scratches, I don't mind.
Good. Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks,
Yeah.
sir.
Appreciate it.
Just remember, you know, as the old joke says, I'm writing this slowly because I know you can't read fast, so just bear with me sometimes.
Yeah, that's fine. This Zoom is handy too if you forget something later.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we put one official motion out there for all three in one shot?
Does it have to be, I think, I'm
Or we
not
have to do
sure of
each?
Robert's Rules of Order, but I think
Okay.
that Don and Rich and myself would not be able to make that motion.
No.
Well, I could make, I could make that
Yeah.
motion is,
Yes,
all right,
And then,
that the slate be approved as presented.
Here we go.
and I'll second it.
There we go.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's try that for this year.
Yep.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay, let's move on. I wanted to share with you guys, I was at the council meeting, the last one, Zoom meeting. And David Bria brought up the fact that there were,
hang on just for a second.
Sorry.
I'm just trying to finish this up.
Okay.
As above, okay, and now we're at council meeting.
yeah, it was basically the discussion of pros and cons of leaving the planning commission at 5 members versus 7. And this was brought up at the council meeting. David Bria brought it up, said we have 2 open positions. But and he threw it out there to the council people. You can go see the actual thing if you want to read it, listen to it. But why, supposedly it says 5 or 7 or 5 to 7. Why don't we leave it at 5 as opposed to going to 7 and getting 2 more people? And they didn't decide anything. They said, we should get the inputs from the planning commission, see what they think, which is nice. That's nice of them. So I kind of throw that out there for you guys. What are your thoughts on whether we should be at a 7-person or 5?
What would a quorum be for 5? 3?
Yeah, I did a little research on that because I was a little shaky on that too. I think it's 3 because if you, even today, like if we had something to vote on today and there's 2 vacancies, the quorum is based on the positions that are currently filled, which are 5. So a quorum is 3. So for 5, the quorum is 3. For 7, the quorum is 4, obviously.
I think we should be at 7, frankly.
Yeah.
Because there's turnover, and we have this way people will be in line, you know, and there's a lot of work to be done. It can be split up over more people, although we haven't had a lot of work the last couple of years, but it could be if the things are changed, you know, and we start seeing more applicants. And just have more opinions, and as people don't come to the meetings sometimes, although the group that's left are pretty good, you know, we've been stable, you know.
But even in the 2 years I've been on, okay, there was one gentleman that I never met. I forget his name. He basically never came, you know. And then there was
Oh, the guy that came once,
yeah, then there was
I think the first time, and that was it.
yeah. So the advantage of the 7 is you're going to at times have people who, for travel reasons or whatever it is, you know, people who are sporadic in attendance or come and then change their mind and don't, like the last person decided to not stay. And then it takes you a while to fill them. You know, if we were at 5, imagine if we were at 5 and a couple people for whatever reason went to the wayside, then we'd be struggling.
Even
if
one person, you know, for whatever reason drops off, you know, then you're down to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost like the only word I can come up with right this second is padding to ensure that we have a decent representation, because I know typically, like last year at this time, my kids and I were in the Quarry Hill Ski Club, so we'd be skiing Bear Creek right now. And I actually had to cancel that for my kids tonight, because this was more important. I agree that, you know, it's better to have 7 and with the idea that we'll typically have at least 6.
It's backup. I think we need it, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So
think, Richard?
based on all the recommendations I've heard, I can't help but agree that makes a lot of sense to count ourselves at 7. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we recommend to council, the planning commission, remain at 7, and that we seek additional members.
Preferably even with some kind of background in planning, zoning, building,
Yep.
law, real estate, you know.
Yeah.
To have somebody that had, you know, a kind of a background or, you know, in it.
Or on the other hand, you know, I would also like to say, Matt, that I think that it doesn't do us any good, doesn't do the borough any good to limit this group to a bunch of old white guys. And I'm suggesting that, you know, Caroline is pretty good at outreach, and it might make sense if we encourage her to see if we can include more women or minorities if they're available for this purpose.
And they could have had those experiences also.
Sure. Yeah, ideally.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. I will put that together and convey that to them. Let them know where we stand.
Actually, hang on for a second. Before we go, I'd like to actually, to keep with an alignment, I would like to make a second to Rich's,
Okay. Yep.
because nobody made a second, while adding in Matt's comments. If that can be done, or do we have to make another motion?
Yeah, I don't know if we need any motion at all, if we just to make a recommendation to
Right.
council, but I think, Don, you have the sense of it. And I think we all do agree with Matt's observations about someone with experience that has a little, you know, a little background in this sort of thing would be useful. And happy if you, you know, formulate something and pass it along.
It could be architecture, you know, a lot of things, engineering.
Yeah. Planning, obviously, landscape architecture, civil engineering, development.
Yep. Even real estate.
Which is what they were looking for in Lower Makefield.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody saw that, but I know at least on Facebook, the Lower Makefield Facebook page was asking for people who were had real estate background to address a particular issue up in what is it, Flowers Corner?
Yeah.
Edgewood, what is it, Edgewood and Sandy Run? That White House there was in the picture. So, which lends itself that perhaps as a suggestion, we could recommend that the borough utilizes social media like the Yardley Borough Facebook page to ask people if they are interested in, you know, participating.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that we might know somebody, just, your neighbor or somebody, in town.
Yeah.
Even the best way to find somebody.
Like how you hooked me, Matt?
Yeah, probably Rich too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, those are all good things. I'll add those kinds of words in the letter to her. Or to council. Okay. Okay, that's it. A couple other things that pass on from the council meeting. No surprise, on December 15th meeting, they approved the 4 mil increase. It's incredible to me how little public input there is these days. I was the only person from the public who stood up there and said why I thought it should be.
Is that right?
Yep. No one else. I was surprised that with a 16% increase, but anyhow, that's it. The only other thing that they changed in for 2021 is they used to at every council meeting have an engineer's report on projects where they report on, like, the Main and Afton intersection and Mary Yardley Bridge and the Pico.
Yeah.
And so now they're only going to do that once a month. So they obviously didn't update it on the meeting that was last week. And the only other thing that happened is they promoted Adam Clark, who was an officer, to a higher level corporal position. So that's about
Right.
all. On council. Okay.
Also, thank you for waiting.
Yep, no problem.
Now, was that under the project? I didn't pull up the thing. Was that listed under project updates, or was
Yeah.
that listed under, okay.
It was under project updates. Basically, the update was we're only going to hear once a month what the update is.
Right,
As an
okay.
aside, did anybody happen to know? I noticed that the bank is gone at the corner of Afton and
Yeah.
Main.
Yeah.
Yes, Customers Bank closed December 13th, and the nearest branch is the one up at the Giant Center off 332 near Einstein Bagels.
I see it. Yeah.
I think the spa is gone next to, across that.
That's also gone.
Yeah.
They actually were closed for COVID and never opened back up.
Yeah. Well, can't say I'm surprised. Although I also can't say I ever saw significant foot traffic to that bank either. But anyway.
Yeah, I think they've always struggled in that location. It's not the most obvious pedestrian spot for a.
Anyhow, but I'm sure something will move in there. Anyhow. Okay. Unless anybody has anything else they wanted to discuss, the only thing, I threw out chapter 6. I don't know if anybody read some of chapter 6. I read it. It's kind of, it's a description of the natural features of our town.
And I don't reckon the natural features have changed all that much.
Exactly. As I read it, I'm like, if it was right in 2014, it's probably still right. There may be some things in there where it goes into details about FEMA and how many homes are in the different flood zones, et cetera. And,
Yeah.
Is
and
that
also,
the one?
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Is that the one that that has all of the U.S. Census report data? I don't remember.
No, I don't think
No,
so.
no.
Not really.
That's another
That's
chapter then. I
yeah.
think.
One thing I think we're going to have to get in here, though, that is, I vaguely remember that the flood plain, didn't they change something with the slopes?
Actually, if I
Please.
recall, it dropped low. It's not as
That make it
high up,
wider or less? What do you mean by dropped?
meaning that the there's less acreage now defined as the flood zone, or was that from years before?
Saying that the 100-year flood level has dropped, basically.
Right.
Yeah, it has. It dropped about a foot. But that's not exactly what you're looking for. It was, Don, was it? It was, what was your question, Don, again?
Well, I thought there was also an ordinance, maybe it was only proposed and it didn't change.
Oh, sorry.
To change something about what you had to do on the slopes leading up to the floodplain. And they want to make a change to that. I think it was a way to make more and more of the golf course not buildable, to be honest with you. But
Okay.
I guess we're going to need to somehow check and see what has changed since 2014. I don't know how we do that. Do we query into the ordinance to see what ordinances affecting the floodplain area are newer?
Don,
I think the first thing would be to ask Paula.
Don, why don't we go ahead and can you share a screen and pull up
Okay, yeah.
chapter 6 and we can just kind of scroll through it and see
Yeah.
what we're up against?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
I agree with what you're saying there. There's a section on steep slopes, and then there's a section on floodplains. And if there's been any change, it's been maybe some regulatory language about floodplains. But the natural features per se, I don't think are dramatically different.
This map in here is dated 2014, so it's pretty old.
Is there a map and in that chapter?
It's a natural features map.
It's not in the yeah, anyway, probably you've got a copy of it.
What page are we on? Around page 60, I think it is. It starts.
Chapter 5, places of worship.
Yeah, I got 61.
Chapter 6, natural features, right?
Right.
Right. Okay, here we go. So, am I sharing my screen? Do you guys see it?
You are.
Yep.
Perfect.
So the first couple of paragraphs are motherhood and apple pie, in my opinion. And this overview defines where we are. I don't know. I guess eventually if somebody wanted to look at the record set of temperatures and inches, I guess we could, but.
You know, I guess if you, well, feel free to call me out if you think this is inappropriate, but I'm going to go ahead and say a word about global warming.
Yeah.
So I was I did listen into the, and Don, I think you were on the call as well when Mr. Wells went on and on a little bit about global warming and the likely influence and impact that it'll have on even on our little borough. If there was anything to be said about that, this seems like it might be the right place for it. That's as far as I'm going to go right now. I don't know what sorts of, I mean, I wouldn't want us to try to author or be responsible for any projections for the next 10 years and their effects on the borough. But I guess we could just maybe at least include a comment about trends and, possible general outcomes. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and have a crack at putting together a sentence and we'll see if we can find a place for it here.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it could be something like,
If we all agree.
since over the last 10 years, the, average floodwater height has been X or something like that. And yeah.
Yeah, we
Understand.
probably could get some facts about rainfall, about flood events, and temperatures and things like that. And then probably some projections by some authoritative source on, the next 10 years.
I think you also maybe the increase and severity of hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Storm.
last year was a stellar year.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I'll make some notes along those lines and see if I can find some facts.
Yeah, to prepare for that and make sure we incorporate it in our decisions as we move forward. Yeah. Okay. Good idea.
Okay.
And that's Rich saying this, right? I
Right.
lost screen
Yes.
completely, guys. Okay,
Oh,
thank
sorry.
you.
The next sub area is called wetlands. That's a description of what they are. I don't know if there needs to be any changes in there.
I don't really know of any in the borough unless, yeah, I mean, there's not much of anything other than maybe Garlet's Pond, and that doesn't have any marshes in it or anything.
There's that big field behind me, about a third of that is a wetland. Maybe a little less than, maybe a fourth of it. Probably an acre and a half of wetland there, maybe a little more. And there's probably some on the golf course.
Yeah, there's probably more wetlands than you realize in the borough.
That area behind Macclesfield isn't in the borough, is it? Pretty
No,
wet back there, but it's not.
yeah, but that's also, I mean, we only go as far as the bridge, right? The train bridge, right?
Okay.
Or I mean, or actually, is Wells Fargo officially in Yardley?
Yeah.
Isn't that where the sign is? Or and
So in that thereabouts. Yeah.
Way past Wells Fargo, I think.
Wells Fargo is in the borough, and so is all of Yardley Commons, but not that.
and the cemetery?
No.
Okay, well, this is kind of a generic
Yeah, there's
paragraph about
no,
wetlands. It's not trying to call out where
not
they
trying to
really.
quantify or give any metrics there.
Yeah. Next paragraph goes into steep slopes and what's generally okay for development and what isn't.
That's good. And hasn't changed.
And do I want to put something in about the questions regarding the changes to the borough map? Well, I've got them in the notes regarding the steep slope, so that should be sufficient.
I think there was a change. I don't know. We just need to research it and find out. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe it was only talked about.
Yeah, I know they were proposing a change on the golf course, but it was put in with the development down by the railroad station, so it never went,
Oh,
never passed.
okay. All right. That's probably where I remember from. Okay.
Is there a natural resources commission in the borough?
No, not to my knowledge.
I don't think so.
What am I thinking of?
What about a county?
There's an environmental.
That's what I'm thinking. Environmental. There is an environmental. Is any sense in asking them to contribute or asking if they'd care to contribute to this chapter?
Yeah, but you never know. That they've had good, active periods, and some where they don't do anything, and who knows where they're at right now and who's on there. I don't know.
Yeah, particularly to comment on this paragraph about what the natural resource protection standards are in our zoning. No more than 30% of slopes, 15 to 20 altered, regraded. They may have they may say, yep, that's still the guidelines that we think are right. Or they may have an opinion that that's different.
You know, I don't
Okay.
think they're really qualified to judge about building on steep slopes and stuff like that. That's really engineering stuff.
Yeah, that's zoning.
But
Well,
they might have other environmental concerns that they want to express.
I guess I'll volunteer to reach out to the Environmental Commission and run this section by them and just tell them we're updating the plan and
Yeah.
ask them if they have any comment that they'd like
All
us
right,
to consider.
yeah, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
All right.
And that's
Um,
Rich?
Yep.
Okay.
Floodplains. You know, somebody did the math to figure out they account for 162.4 acres in the borough and 29.6 the total land area. Now, is this since 2014 has the definition of the floodplains changed? Or
Yeah.
not?
Yeah,
It has.
Probably smaller.
It's gone smaller. Huh? Okay.
Probably a little bit, not a lot though, I bet.
Matt, where do you think this data would be? Is it in the firm maps? Have they republished maps in the last 10
I
years?
think Paula would have it.
I think they did unless I'm mistaken, I think that they did
Yeah.
change and when they redid the actual floodplain map that FEMA put out. So if that's the case, I would have to think that all these numbers and how many properties would have to be updated also.
West 4 Acre might have all that stuff.
Yeah. It seems to me on that presentation, Don, that we saw hosted by Carolyn, that we saw a map and it had this kind of data on it. I got to believe it's out there. We just need to get an update, lay our hands on it.
Recording of that event out there. I'll have to go look at it and see what it referenced. So the first couple of paragraphs of it are much more are kind of generic, except for that 29.6%. Then it goes into this FEMA description of the preliminary flood maps, etc. And so this is what we really need updated, because the final ones are out and changed and everything, right?
Right, because I mean, especially like the number of commercial entities.
Yeah, exactly.
You see that last sentence in that paragraph there where it says anticipates issuing a letter of final determination sometimes in 2014 with the requirement that the new flood maps will be adopted within 6 months. So we ought to at least be able to catch up with that little bit of business.
Right. And maybe these new flood maps identify, or somewhere in the borough, they have this, okay, what's defined as the north floodway and how many single family homes are there now?
Yeah.
Condominiums.
Would it be prudent for us to identify where each one is, or is it do we know if it's labeled on the maps themselves?
I think it is. It must be. But
North is probably Rivermar. You know, south is where we are.
Yeah, Chuck.
Bob, you said something at the beginning of this, that there was a map in here. Is there a map in this document?
Yeah, there's a map. It was prepared by the Bucks County Planning Commission. I have the hard copy in front of me, that's why.
So it's not in our Word document here. Okay. And does
It's
that
It's a color-
define what south floodway is and what south flood fringe is and all that?
No, it just goes over, has woodland areas of the 100-year flood, areas of the 500-year flood, water body, and then it's got steep slopes. It was prepared in 2014.
But the one you're looking at is still the 2014 one.
Yeah.
And what's the title that you read on that
Title
map,
is-
Bob?
It's Figure 2, natural features, Yardley Borough, Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Natural features. Okay.
It's cited in the beginning of the chapter.
Okay. And it's authored by Bucks County Planning Commission.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully Paul can shed some light on some of this too, as to what are the most recent documents relative to this topic, and then we can incorporate it in here with the right words. Okay, next paragraph is riparian buffers. Defines what they are. I'm sure that hasn't changed. That's it. It's just kind of
It's generic.
generic. Yeah. It said, the last sentence said the borough has adopted an ordinance to provide the regulation of planting, control, and removal of bamboo. I assume that still exists. I'm sure they wouldn't have undone it.
Do we need to double check on it? I know that they've been, there's a lot of issues about bamboo in itself, but
Yeah.
should I mention that we should double check?
Probably, because also the sentence before that, because the borough intends to preserve and protect existing woodlands and to implement a street tree planting program. That does exist, right? There's that whole shade tree commission and all that. Isn't that what that's referencing, or not really?
Yeah, that sentence probably should be updated to reflect current activities.
Yeah. Because I think it,
Where's that?
It's a third paragraph under riparian buffers.
The following vegetative
Yeah.
features?
yeah.
Okay,
See, this borough intends to preserve and protect by implementing a street planting program. Well, if they had intention to do it in 2014.
Well, my wife was chair of that back in, a little before that when I was mayor. We planted over 120 some street trees.
Yeah, good.
Yep, they're looking good too.
So maybe that's just a carryover, 'Cause there's really not too many, well, a few have gotten whacked on Afton Avenue and things, but and a few of them on Main Street have gotten whacked here and there, but just need a little filling here and there.
Yeah, well, there is still some activity. I know Ann has consulted a little bit and or gave her 2 cents about where they could plant some more. So I know recently there's still some activity. So perhaps Paula could put us in touch with the individuals responsible and approve an update to this sentence. I'm not volunteering anymore because I already got a couple of assignments.
I'll do this one. I'll do this one. For that paragraph. Okay, woodlands. Pretty generic. The first thing is just educating people on what it is, how great it is to have woodlands. Okay.
Yeah.
Keeps going the same in the second paragraph, really. At the end,
Seeks to protect wetlands, floodplains, and woodlands through enforcing provisions found in the land development ordinance and in the zoning code.
I'm sure that's still true.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything that's changed in there.
No, that all seems pertinent.
Yeah.
One of the things that always concerns me when I see something like this is regarding woodlands, and when people come in and, for example, change and purchase a new purchase a property and then decide to have to cut down trees, and whether they actually know that they have, if a tree is of a certain diameter, they have to replace it with other trees for reforestation.
Is that an ordinance?
I believe
Chuck?
it is.
Yeah,
That may only apply for a development, like Orchard Hill or something like that. Well, I think
Yardley Walk.
it applied when they built Yardley Walk, That
Right.
would-
Well, I know when at the top of the hill, well, that's Lower Makefield, but I know that the people that cut and strafed all the trees on the property right across from the church at the top of the hill, they got in
Scammels?
on that.
Is that Scammels?
Yeah,
corner?
Scammell, I guess. But I also know that, a number of other people, when people have had a whole bunch of trees cleared, many were not aware, and I was under the impression that, if something's over 12 inches in diameter, there has to be a certain number of trees replanted. But I think it's anywhere in the state, not necessarily in Yardley.
I don't think so. I mean, you can cut down any tree on your property and not have to replace it. No, I think that's only when you're doing developments and building clearing new land or something like that. And,
I guess really, I think we should take this one, it has all this detail about trees and guidelines, et cetera. I think we should go to the Shade Tree Commission. That's their thing. They exist. The Shade Tree Commission, and say, here's this paragraphs relative to street trees and guidelines for tree planting, et cetera.
Yep.
Are these still in effect today? Is this what we should continue to say, or do you have any comments on what should be changed, if anything?
perfect.
Why not? I'll send that one out too. So put me down for street trees
Gotcha.
paragraph to get, confirmation.
Do you
of
want to
these
ask them at the
inputs.
same time about that 12-inch diameter rule?
Yeah, I'll ask them, are these rules still in effect, and are any rules about private property owners needing to replace certain trees at certain sizes? Okay, that's and then bamboo, the paragraph on bamboo just says how bad it is, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. When I go to I'll give that to the Shade Tree Commission as well to have inputs on, but I don't think there's anything different in there, unless there was some new ordinance that came through in the last 10 years. But and that, my friends, concludes chapter 6. That was an easy chapter.
Cool.
Suggestions for what we attack next month?
I think, why not?
Yes, we can move ahead to 7. I'm just glancing ahead to see what's really in 7.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to keep going, except there's probably more work to be done to sort that out. So I got enough on my plate right now. But.
Yeah, me too. And then I'm hoping that I will have inputs back from
On
4
chapter
different people
5.
I went to from chapter 5.
Yeah.
And then we can clean
We
up
can
and put them
cycle
all around
back.
chapter 5.
Yeah.
Would be good. So between implementing, hopefully if I'll have inputs back from them, and then we can review what they changed in chapter 5, and then we could start in chapter 7 if we don't have any applicants.
So chapter 7 is,
Long one.
yeah. So my wife is on the rec board,
Uh-huh.
and she has opinions about open space too. So I'll just reach out to her and ask her to read this through with me, and maybe I'll bring something with me to chapter 7 next time.
Okay. Sounds great. Okay, anything else anybody wants to discuss tonight? I guess not. Okay, this is a good precedent. 56 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of 2-hour+ meetings. You will notice, but anyhow.
No, we'll put this
We'll
in
do
the
when we
bank.
have to, but
Right,
not when we
right.
don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, thanks for.
Yep. You want a
Another
motion
perfect
to
attendance
adjourn?
deal.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Not necessary, but thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
All right,
We'll see you.
let's adjourn.
All right.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
Bye.